This is our cottage, and this is a video about how our cottage came to be. When we bought our cottage, we were lucky enough to receive these two albums, and these are the Saga of Anne's House Book 1 and Book 2. So Anne, while we never had the pleasure of meeting her, seemed like an amazing woman. She was an author by trade that lived in New York City, and after having some success in her field, she decided to pursue her dream and move to the countryside. So she found an idyllic small town and drove up here, talked to some locals, and bought a beautiful plot of land with hills and fields and a little brook meandering through it. So when Anne originally left New York City and moved to the countryside and bought this property, she did not immediately build her dream cottage. Instead, she lived in an off-the-grid cabin for more than 2 years. We're deep in the woods here on our property, and this structure over here is the original cottage that Anne built and lived in on the property. Let's go take a look at it. Going inside. We're using it a little bit for storage right now. But there's no running water, no heat, no electricity, and it's just a basic structure. So this woman moved from the luxuries of the city to come to this primitive shelter in the middle of the woods. You can actually see some aspects of this shelter that were carried over into the larger cottage, like this bed nook right here. And then this here was her kitchen, I'm assuming. So this is it. This is what she lived in for 2 years. So we can't say for sure why it took her 2 years to begin construction on her dream cottage. Maybe it was because she liked the rural, rustic, off-the-grid lifestyle, or maybe, sensing her meticulous nature, it was just to make sure she would choose the perfect spot on this property to build her dream cabin. Nonetheless, construction did begin on the cottage that we live in today, and we're so glad it did. We were also lucky enough to be handed down a bunch of files about her build, and she was so meticulous about everything that she did. She kept everything. I mean, we've got files about window selection, toilet selection, ceiling fan selection. We've got blueprints, house plans. This is just a sample. This is a original sketch of the house. And then here we've got some floor plans, different drawings of the home. And then just to show you how meticulous she was with preserving all of her records, this is a brochure from a ceiling fan company, and she's got little post-it notes in here about which fan she'd like to choose and where she think it would best fit. And like I said, we've got these for almost every feature of the home. So that really just makes it a special piece of history to go through and be able to preserve her thoughts and feelings of the home itself. So taking a look at the first album here, this provides so much insight into the build of the house. Opening up the first page, we've got a little witty dedication there by Anne. And then starting off, we see the house beginning from scratch, starting with the foundation here. See they're constructing the wall forms to pour the foundation walls. This picture, they're building the decking for the first floor. Those are the basement walls there. And then this picture, this is the brook right here, the basement door, and then the first floor decking. A pretty cool view, because that's a pretty iconic view of our cottage from this spot right here. And to see it like that before it was completely built is pretty cool. Continuing on in the album, you start to see the cottage take shape a bit more. They're building the first floor walls. And then our cottage is a post and beam structure. So these pictures really show you the construction of the post and beam. You've got this large timber right here, and you can see the notches coming out through them. And they're going to put that up with this little forklift here. And this picture shows the forklift lifting up this giant timber right here that's notched out so that the other timber members can be placed in there. Really cool image showing that construction. Here you can really begin to see the house taking shape even further. They're putting up the plywood sheathing. And then this is the stonework around the foundation. Anne didn't just want to leave the bare concrete foundation, so she put stone around it, which really gives it that nice storybook, fairy tale cottage look. So she hired a mason to come by and dry fit the stones and then follow it up by putting some mortar in between, and they did a great job, and it adds so much to the look of the house. All the rocks that were used in the cottage were taken from the property, so we've got very rocky soil here, and it just adds so much to the look of the house. This is the felt and tar paper that was put on the home in preparation for the roof. Here you can see the house really beginning to look like it does now, just without the shingles. Then here is a similar view that we have today, just without shingles on the home. We've got the house with no shingles on the sides and in the wintertime. So very similar to what you see right there today. So that was book 1. Now let's continue with book 2. On Christmas Eve day, which is when this picture was taken, it was an exciting day for Anne because she was finally able to move into her house. So as such, she was ecstatic about showing everyone around and making this album and being able to show her friends and family all the hard work that she'd put into it. And obviously all the hard work has paid off, because this is quite the upgrade from that little shelter that she was living in the woods. She's got pictures of her living room. This is what she called her office. This is a special picture for her too, because this is the bathroom, which she was especially excited about. If you remember, that shelter that she lived in didn't have any running water, so she had to use a composting outhouse basically. So a bathroom is a real luxury, so she's very excited about that. This picture shows the bookcases going up the staircase to her bedroom. This one here is the landing at the top of the stairs. Another picture of the landing there. And then this is her bed nook. So the rest of book 2 really just goes to show a bunch of pictures of the property that she took and how she was so appreciative of what the property has to offer and of the home that she built here. Anne's dream made into reality was a masterpiece, a quaint woodland cottage straight out of storybooks and fairy tales. Off a tree-lined lane, stroll onto a snow-covered drive. Winding through a field, the drive tucks into a beautiful woodland forest. A brook meanders gently through the sloping hills. Follow the drive just further, and across a stone bridge, you reach a cottage tucked in the woods, warm with light shining through the windows. So this right here is Anne. Though I feel like she definitely would want you to know that. Now, 10 years after moving into her dream cottage, Anne passed away. It was before her time, but she was surrounded by friends and family. She left her cottage behind, and we feel so fortunate to be the new owners and the new caretakers of her home. We plan on continuing her saga, and we like to think that she's looking down and smiling, knowing the joy that her dream brings to others.